Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Emily and I am starting a very exciting series on my channel again this year. I am doing another year of 12 days of bookmas and this video is officially day 1. So how bookmas works on my account and how I did it last year is that I do 12 days leading up to Christmas Day. So obviously the first video is today and the last video will be on Christmas Eve, because I just feel like having the last video on Christmas Day is just too much for so many people and no one has the time for that, so I'll end it on Christmas Eve. And I'm so excited for this because, as I said, I did this last year but I did not have anywhere near as much of a big audience last year as I do now, so I'm just so much more excited and I'm so excited to get more of a sense of community over on my channel. And I've also asked you guys on my Instagram for some video ideas that you'd like to see within these 12 days. So in today's video, day 1 of bookmas, I'm going to be talking about 25 books that I'd like to read in 2025, but specifically this is 25 books off my physical TBR. I know there's like so many incredible book releases that I'm very excited about and I know that you guys will be very excited about in 2025, but I'm going to talk about those book releases in a different video. This one is just 25 books from my TBR because my TBR is like over 200 books, 200, maybe even 300. I can't remember the last time I counted because it's kind of like just like pushing it out of my brain because it stresses me out, but my physical TBR is a lot and so I definitely want to get that down next year. And I thought I'd start with this video because I believe that I started this little trend last year with like 24 books that I wanted to read this year, and I thought that I'd do it again for 2025 because I really liked that idea and I think a lot of you guys did as well. So I'm not going to do these in any particular order. I'm just going to go through the 2 stacks that I have here, and I'm also not going to ramble on about the books too much, otherwise we will be here for literally hours. Also, I am so sorry if you can hear noises in the background. There is people working in front of my house and they have not been doing it all day until this very second, so I'm very much hoping that the microphone blocks that out. Anyway, let's just get into it. The first book that I want to read in 2025 is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I feel like I probably included this in my video last year as well because in December, January and February in Australia it is actually summer, and so I really want to read this very soon. I want to read it on the beach and just like get the whole vibe of like, I don't know, I feel like this book you have to read on a beach because it is like a very summery read, and so I definitely want to read this summer. I've been putting this off for a couple of years now and I just feel like it's finally time. Another book that I really want to read this summer is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This was actually one of my options for my December TBR. I let you guys choose my TBR but it didn't win, but I still do definitely want to read this over the summertime. Not necessarily in December. I don't think I'll get to many summery books in December just because I have so many other videos planned, but I do definitely want to read this summertime because I do really like Carly Fortune's writing. All the summery books are literally in a row because the next book I want to read is also a summery read, and that is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. I believe I had this like on my summer TBR last year, or maybe even my 2024 TBR. I honestly don't remember. Again, this has been a book that I've been pushing away for quite some time and I don't know why, because I actually love a good little YA romance and I do feel like I'm gonna love this book. It's also like a little series and I feel like if I love this one it'll be a very easy series to read because they are YA, and it sounds so cute. It says Lena is spending the summer in Tuscany fulfilling her mother's dying wish that she should get to know her father. With the help of her mother's journal, Lena uncovers a magical world of secret romance, art and hidden bakeries. People come to Italy for love and gelato, someone tells her, but sometimes they discover so much more. So I don't even know what to expect out of this, but it just sounds really cute. It sounds like it's going to just be a very sweet book. The next book slash series slash like author is very intimidating, but I need to make it my mission to finally read one of her books in 2025 because I've just been putting it off for so long at this point that it's just ridiculous. And that is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, or just any book by Cassandra Clare. I have never read a Cassandra Clare book before. I know it's quite shocking. She is such a massive author and for some reason I've just always been too scared because even though she has a lot of different series, they are all interconnected and it's kind of like all one universe, and so that's why I've been a little bit intimidated. Even though they're just like YA fantasies, I think they'll be very easy to read, but the reason I include this one is because this is the first book that I'm going to start with. The next one is Break the Rules by Lauren Jackson. I actually had this delivered to me today from Penguin, so thank you Penguin. I thought that I'd add it on this TBR just because I'm I'm honestly very excited about this. I have 2 other books from Lauren Jackson, but I haven't actually read them yet, but they have been books that have kind of been like on my radar for a while. But I just feel like this one in particular is going to be one that I really, really love, so I kind of want to like prioritize this one. I believe this is a romance book, and it sounds like it's set in like a university as well, and I believe it's like a football romance as well, and I just feel like this is going to be absolutely incredible. The next one may be a bit delusional because I have been putting off reading this for quite a few months now, but then again, I feel like I've done that with all of these books on the TBR so far. We have The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. Picking up such a long book is kind of intimidating. Like, this is like 500 pages, and yeah, books like that are just kind of scaring me at the moment, so I don't want to pick this up anytime soon, but I do want to pick this up at some point in 2025, probably when the weather starts getting cooler. Honestly, I don't have any idea what this book is about. Like, even reading the back of the book, like, it honestly does not make that much sense, but I know that it has a romance aspect as well, so I know I'm gonna love this, and I've seen so many people rave about this. The next one is kind of random, but that is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This is a book that I'm putting on the TBR because it's kind of out of my comfort zone, and it's something that would, like, I'd kind of need to push myself to pick this one up just because it's not something that I necessarily read very often. I believe this is like considered women's fiction, but I'm not entirely sure. It says it's set in the 1960s, so it's a little bit more like old style, I guess. It says the female in this book signs to be the host of a cooking show. It says her revolutionary approach to cooking, fueled by scientific and rational commentary, grabs the attention of a nation. I feel like it's one of those books that you kind of have to read. The next book I have is Consider Me by Becca Mack. This is also the start of a series. I believe it's the Playing for Keeps series, and someone recently told me that they don't think that I'm gonna like this because I don't like spice, but my sister-in-law recently read this whole series and loved the whole thing, and she doesn't really like spice either, so that kind of like motivated me to pick this book up. And I also feel like this is a book that I could definitely read over summer. Like, it just gives me that sort of vibe. So I believe that each book in this series is following a different couple. By the looks of this one, it is following Carter and Olivia, and he is actually a professional hockey player, which, love a good hockey romance. You literally cannot go wrong. Also, I am literally so tired, guys. Like, I feel like I'm falling asleep as I'm filming this. So if you see my eyes literally like fluttering and closing, that is why. I probably should not have been filming this video right now, but when motivation strikes, you gotta do what you gotta do. The next book is also a book that will kind of push me out of my comfort zone a little bit, and that is Lovely War by Julie Berry. I saw Destiny read this quite a few months ago, and she was also intimidated by it, but I know that she ended up absolutely loving it. And since I saw her rave about this book, I actually bought it back then, and I just haven't picked it up yet. It is quite a long one, like it's about 440 pages from what I can see, and it's such a like chunky book as well. Like, it just looks really big. But I also recently read The Nightingale, and that was based on the war, and I really, really loved that, and I kind of wasn't expecting to love that. That was like an automatic 6-star read for me, and I believe that this one is also set like around the war times as well, so I'm like hoping that it's sort of similar to that, but I also feel like it's going to be completely different. But I do like the vibe of like a historical fiction, so I do feel like I'm gonna love this. The next book I've included is Zodiac Academy Ruthless Fate. This is the second book in the Zodiac Academy series. I read the first book a few months ago and surprisingly loved it. I know a lot of people like hate the first book and then love the rest of the series, but I loved it so much, and I'm so excited to continue this series next year and hopefully finish this series this year. But of course, I didn't want to include the whole series in this video because that would be really boring, so I just wanted to include the book that I'm up to. The next book I have is Caught Up by Liz Tomford. This is the third book in the Windy City series. I believe there's also a new release in this series next year, but as I said, I'll talk about that in that video. But this one I'm very excited about because I feel like people really, really love this book in the series, and I didn't really like Mile High that much. Like, I did, but there was also quite a few things I didn't like. The Right Move I absolutely loved. Like, Ryan Shea is like the perfect book boyfriend, and so I'm very, very excited for this one. Okay, I had a bit of an intermission because the noise outside got a lot louder, so I'm hoping that it's at a reasonable sound level right now so you don't hear it. Anyway, The next book that I really want to read in 2025 is Immortal Dark by Tigest Germa. This is another book that I've heard such incredible things about recently, and it's another one that I honestly have no idea what it's about, but I kind of love going into books like that. Like, I love going into books with zero expectations. I love going in having no idea what to expect out of the plot, and so I'm not going to read the back of the book, and I'm not going to talk about what this book may be about because I'd rather go into it blindly. The next book I want to read is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I believe that this is also a romantasy, and I've been wanting to read this for quite a few months now, but I honestly forgot that I bought it, and I forgot I had it on my TBR for some reason. It says, in the small mountain town of Jasper, North Carolina, the Farrow women are known for their thriving flower farm and the mysterious curse that has haunted them for generations. When Susanna Farrow disappeared, she left her daughter June to be raised by her grandmother. Everyone in Jasper is certain it's only a matter of time before she finds the same end, but June has kept secret that her unraveling has already begun. After her grandmother's death, June follows a series of clues that link her mother's disappearance to the town's dark history, leading finally to a red door. Behind it may lay the answer to the mysteries that have always lingered like a dark shadow. Upon crossing the threshold, June embarks on a journey that will not only change both the past and the future, but entangle her fate and her heart in a star-crossed love. This sounds like a fantasy that's going to be right up my alley. Like, it sounds like it's going to be like very magical, and I love a fantasy world like that, so I'm so excited about this. Like, this is a book that I'm predicting will be a 5-star read for me. Next up, we have Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This is a book that I've also been meaning to read for a long time, but I could only get my hands on it a couple of months ago in Australia because for some reason it was never available on Amazon or anything like that. I don't really know what to expect out of this book. I don't really know what it's about. I just know that it has like the accidental pregnancy trope, and I don't think I've ever read a book with the accidental pregnancy trope, and I know a lot of people hate it, but I believe that like this is a lot of people's exceptions in actually liking the trope in this book, so I'm very excited for that. It's something completely different to what I've usually read. The next one is Hothouse Flower by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the 5th book in the Addicted/Calloway Sisters series, which I've been reading for like 2 years now. Like, I started that series 2 years ago and for some reason still have not finished it. I really want to make it my mission to finish this series next year, so I just thought that I'd include the book that I'm up to in this video as well. This one is the first book in the series that's following Reich and Daisy, and I'm so excited for their story. Honestly, I don't know why I haven't picked this book up sooner. The next one is The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. I've been seeing so many people rave about this book, and again, I love a fantasy that has like trials and games, and that's exactly what this book is, but I believe we're following like Greek gods in the games, I think, so it's something like really interesting. I know that like sometimes like Greek mythology and stuff can be very hard to understand, but I've heard a lot of people say that this book's very easy to follow along with, and I feel like I need a book like that at the moment. Like, I feel like I just need very mindless reads, and I'm presuming that this book is going to be like that based on what people have said, but I feel like I will probably read this more to the colder seasons as well, just because I feel like this isn't really the book to read in the summertime. Then again, like, it sort of feels like a book you could read at any point of the year. I don't know. I'm acting like it's like illegal to read books at specific times of the year. I could read this whenever I wanted. I'm just being dramatic about it. The next one is Quicksilver by Kelly Hart. This is actually an edition that I had sent to me from the publisher, and I'm so grateful. Like, look how cool this is. It's like matte black. It's got my name on it as well, and it says, "Your next romantasy obsession is here." Now, I actually did start reading this book a few months ago, and I believe I got almost 50% of the way through, and I actually was really enjoying it. It kind of felt like ACOTAR, but better, because I was actually loving it, and I didn't really like ACOTAR. I wasn't really in the mood for it when I was reading it, so I did like put it down with the intention to pick it back up, but I just haven't gotten around to picking it back up yet, so I'm very excited to read this in 2025. It was actually also announced yesterday or today, I believe, that it's becoming a Netflix series as well, and it's also getting an audiobook, so I know that this book is so loved. Like, for it to get all of that, like, it obviously deserves it. The next one is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is another one that kind of pushes me out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I do definitely want to read it because I've heard incredible things about it, and I actually had someone recommend it to me personally recently. They said that I should like pick it up as soon as possible. One thing that intimidates me about this is that apparently some of the chapters are like really long. Like, I'm talking like over 50 pages. That kind of like puts me off a little bit because no one likes long chapters because it just makes you really unmotivated to read. But this is a book that I've been wanting to read for quite a while now, and for some reason Again, I haven't picked it up yet, but it kind of gives me the same vibes as A Little Life, which is one of my favorite books of all time. So we'll have to see what I think of this when I actually read it. Hopefully I actually get to it in 2025. I really need to figure out like a better filming location because my back is in so much pain right now. And as I said before, I'm literally falling asleep. Like this is not the vibes for me today. Anyway, we've only got a few books to go. So the next one is Cruel as a Light by Sophie Clark. I actually had this one sent to me as an ARC a couple of months ago as well from Penguin. Oh my god, like the second I read like the synopsis of this book, I was like, okay, this is going to be something that I really, really love. So I'm going to read it to you guys as well because I think that if you love a YA romantasy, I think this will be right up your alley as well. It says, a brutal war between demons and humanity has raged across Europe for over a century. At its heart are two elite soldiers, Celine Alivar, a powerful exorcist trained at the prestigious Vatican Academy, and foot soldier Jules Lacroix, unrivaled in battle. When their paths cross despite initial distrust, then unwelcome attraction, Jules and Celine discover a terrible secret at the heart of the Holy Vatican City. Soon Jules is forced to question everything he's ever known, including himself, and Celine, unable to ignore her growing feelings for Jules, must make an impossible choice between love and duty. Like, tell me that does not sound amazing. I have been so excited for this. I believe it's getting released in January as well, so if you're seeing this, it'll be released very, very soon. So I feel like this is definitely one that you should add to your TBR. The next one is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Myra. This one has been on my TBR for a while, and I kind of bought it like last year when I was just like buying a lot of books with not much intention behind them and like not really planning on picking them up anytime soon or anything like that. But then when the second book came out this year and I started to see more reviews on that book and this book, I was like, wait, like that actually sounds like something that I would really, really love. And so this is kind of like bumped up my priority TBR very, very recently, and I do feel like I'm gonna love this little series. The next book I really want to read slash like series I want to read in 2025 is actually the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. I've actually never read this before and I don't know what to expect out of this series. I honestly don't know anything about it. If you don't know, I actually read and watched the Harry Potter series for the first time this year as well, and I loved it. It was incredible. Like I made it my whole personality for quite a few months. So I feel like it's time for me to read the Percy Jackson series. Obviously it's a quite young series, so I feel like this will be very easy for me to read. Okay, we only have 4 more to go. The next one is Lightlark by Alex Astor. I feel like I probably put this on my TBR last year as well, but I didn't get around to reading it because I always just see so many mixed reviews on this and it just puts me off every time I see them. I just see so many people talking so negatively about this book all the time. I do feel like I'm really gonna like this. Like it kind of gives like Hunger Games, but like if it had more fantasy elements. I believe that's like what she markets this book as. But also there's been a 3rd book released in this series very soon, so I feel like if I'm to love this one, I can obviously read the rest of the series in 2025 as well, and it can be like a whole thing. But I might read this in like a video, like maybe like reading popular books for a week or something like that. Like I can make that in 2025. Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's been out for almost a year now. I think this literally came out like on Boxing Day last year, or maybe like very early January, so it's literally almost been a year and I still haven't picked it up. Now I actually did pick it up. I started listening to this one as an audiobook and I believe I got like halfway through and I was really enjoying it, but I also wasn't focused enough to know what was actually going on all the time, and I really didn't want to ruin the experience for myself because Divine Rivals is still one of my favorite books and I don't want to like ruin the second one for me. So I kind of wanted to wait until I was in a better, I don't know, like more in the mood for this book where I could like focus all my attention on it, but that time just hasn't come. The second last book I really want to read in 2025 is Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. This is another general fiction, literary fiction, I don't exactly know, but it's another book that'll kind of push me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I've added quite a few of those on this TBR. So this one is about 4 sisters, but one of them ends up passing away. So a year later, after one of them passes away, the 3 of them reunite in New York to stop the sale of their childhood home. They find that only by returning to each other they can navigate their grief, addiction and heartbreak and learn to fall in love with life again. So I feel like this one's going to be very emotional. I also have 2 younger sisters, so I feel like I'm going to relate to this one quite a lot as well. And the very last book, finally, I'm literally going to take a nap after filming this. We have The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. This kind of reminds me of The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. Like it's a very similar vibe. It says, recently deceased Delphi Bookham has just met the one in the afterlife, but is devastated when a mix-up means he is immediately sent back to Earth. Delphi is given a second chance and accepts a deal in which she can return to her previous life in London and reconnect with the mysterious stranger she's sure is her soulmate. She only has 10 days to find him, and he has no recollection of them ever having met. So this one sounds very, very interesting. I kind of love a book with like the afterlife slash like ghost sort of stuff in it. I feel like it's so interesting, and it's like not like a typical romance book. So I do definitely feel like I'm gonna love this, but I've just been putting it off again for quite a few months because I've just been in the mood for something completely different. So yeah, that was all of them. That was the 25 books, physical TBR books that I want to read in 2025. I feel like there's quite a wide variety of books here as well. Definitely let me know your thoughts on some of these books and motivate me to pick some of these books up quicker, and tell me your thoughts on any of these books that you'd like to tell me your thoughts on. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for tuning in with my first day of Bookmas. Make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next 11 days that I post a video every day, because I'm gonna have some very exciting videos within these 12 days of Bookmas. So yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next Bookmas video. Bye guys.